Hi, welcome to episode 3 of Tiny Shop with Morgan Hopp. I'm Morgan Hopp, and this is my tiny shop. If you haven't watched episodes 1 and 2, I would strongly recommend going and watching those first because give you some context. It's a series. Goes in order. Lots happened since I started this project, so here's a quick recap. In episode 1, I explained how and why I started this channel to document the project, walked through how I designed the new shop, and laid out the steps needed to bring it to life. Between episode 1 and episode 2, I left my job at Microjig, and that's been weird. In episode 2, I unloaded and dismantled my old shed, and the new shop was delivered. I built a wall and installed a door to partition off a little office space, insulated, drywalled, painted, and got the power hooked up.
All right, I'm gonna have to call the electrician back because I don't think he hooked up the gravity right. What do you know? User error.
And now in episode 3, we start getting into the good stuff. Shop setup. It's going to be a somewhat lengthy process, but you just got to approach it like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. Preferably slow roasted with potatoes and gravy. First order of business was getting all the stuff I pulled out of my shed loaded back into the new shop. It was sitting outside on the patio while I was working on the inside of the shop, so it was a relief to get everything back inside and out of the elements. I'm sure my neighbors appreciated it too. I also set up a little home office right at the front of the shop. Doesn't look like much now, but once the shop's all set up, I'll get the office looking all pretty-like. As I was loading everything in, I realized just how much junk I'd accumulated, and for whatever reason decided to hold on to. Like a bad episode of Hoarders.
No way I'm getting rid of this stuff.
Or a good one. Anyway, even though a lot of that stuff was unnecessary, I brought it all back in and placed things around roughly where they'd end up. That took up a ton of floor space, so just to make it easier to move around in here, I went ahead and installed some of the lumber racks that Rockler was kind enough to send to me. Speaking of which, according to YouTube's rules, or at least as I understand them, I'm obligated to disclose whether or not I'm being paid for or received any free products that I am promoting in any of my content in any meaningful way. And I think that's a good policy. I always want to be transparent with you about the products that I'm using in my videos, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and the nature of the relationship that I have with the brand, if any. In this line of work, credibility is all you have, and I intend to keep mine. That being said, yes, I did receive a few of the products that I'm going to be mentioning in this video for free from Rockler. Huge thanks to Rockler for supporting me and supporting this project. You guys are amazing. Anyway, the lumber racks were really easy to install, and they're unbelievably valuable for the simple fact that they cleared up some of my very limited floor space. One of the other items that Rockler sent me was a wall-mounted dust collector. Again, the biggest value here for me is the floor space that it saves. The dust collector was super easy to install and was perfect for my plan to have several small dust collectors in the shop, dedicated to only 2 or 3 small tools, as opposed to having one massive and loud dust collector for all the tools in the shop with ductwork running all over the place. So the dust right will be dedicated to my bandsaw and my little wall-mounted CNC. I'll do a dedicated video about the dust collector later on, but right now the important thing is just getting the shop operational. As for the big CNC, I originally planned on mounting it on this flip-top torsion box I built months and months ago, but I ended up deciding it should probably live under the outfeed of my main workstation. And since Onefinity sent me the longer Journeyman X-Rail, the torsion box I built would have been too small anyway. So I ended up cutting it in half and using it for the left and right sides of the miter station on the back wall. Now I know where everything's going to go and how this main workstation is going to be laid out, so it's time to start building it. But to do that, I need a table saw. Remember how I removed the fence rails so I could build the table saw into my mobile tool cart? Well, when I dismantled the cart, that kind of put my table saw out of commission until I could fabricate some new fence rails for it. I got some 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch aluminum angle and a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch square tube. The angle was mounted to the front of the saw where the factory rails once were. I used another extruded aluminum piece as a spacer for the square tube, which I attached to the angle with 1/4 machine screws using a tap and die set. I used aluminum because the tolerances on that stuff is so tight, and I needed the thickness of my spacer to be as uniform as possible to keep the fence square. So once everything was attached to the saw, I tested the fence, and it works great.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
All Alright, that's where I'm going to leave off for this episode. Again, huge thank you to Rockler for providing some of the critical elements for the shop setup. So until next time, keep on keeping. Until next time, get jiggy. Stupid. I need like a catchphrase, right? May the fruits of your stupid. Whatever. I'll keep working on it. Till next time, bye.